pick. Massively awful pick for Donald Trump. That's a base pick. You already had the base. Good luck on that. You have tens of millions of dollars wasted on anti-trans ads. Shows that their priorities are in the wrong direction. Shows that they think that these are the top priorities. It's like, you're stupid. Just talk about the economy, jackass. Talk about the economy. Talk about how you're anti-war, but you won't do that because you're Donald Trump. Then you have anti-immigrant screeds instead of messaging discipline on economy. Dog tariff plan, which was effectively countered as a mass sales tax, which I really liked. Kamala Harris's campaign has had a couple big W's. That was one of them. Okay. On the communication front, that was a very effective way of deflating the whole tariff thing, because it was objectively a stupid economic policy anyway. Threatening to use the military on enemy from within, and these are the results. Every normie lib I know thinks the anti-trans ads are effective. I don't know why. Just stop talking to liberals, please. Okay. The reason why normie liberals think it's effective is the exact same reason why they think Kamala Harris is brilliant for tacking to the right, because they're 1, stupid, 2, terrified of Republicans, and 3, they kind of like Republicans at the same time. Okay. That's why everything liberals advocate for, everything liberals talk about comes from a place of fear. Okay. Yeah, here it is. Seltzer poll has Trump with just 28% of senior women and losing senior men by 2 points straight into the garbage. Similarly, this guy is saying it's thrown into the garbage. I don't think it's garbanzo at all. I think it's valid. I think the normal whites theory is undefeated. Normal whites don't like this. Okay. Need a good seltzer poll on top of the survey plus the Kansas R plus 5-1 to fully establish a Trump KKK racker, KKK collapse narrative. Ohio polling, where there's no real incentive to herd, corresponding with the Washington primary more than the rest of the Rust Belt, it has been noted. Like, that's crazy. Ohio being only +3 is crazy. I think that a lot of people are annoyed with the way that Donald Trump and his silly ass hogs operate. Okay. And I know there are people in here who voted for Jill Stein. There are people in here who are like objectively not voting. How much do you hate Donald Trump and his stupid ass supporters? If you feel that way, then yeah, you think people who don't give a about Gaza are not feeling that way. Of course they're feeling that way. It's like very little to do with people going out and voting for Kamala Harris's wonderful $50,000 in tax cuts for startups policy, and everything to do with, I don't want these freaks anywhere near a position of power. Okay. That's it. The reason I was turning blue is abortion. Yes. Abortion is yet another obviously annoying Trump thing. Okay. People are annoyed. People are mad. People are grossed out by the way that the Trumpian Republican Party operates. This is literally not anything different than the 2022 midterm red wave turning into a baby puddle. It's the same. The only difference between that and what's going on right now, and it's not like this isn't in the bag. I know that like libs are doing victory laps as though like the election is over, you know, they're going to win, whatever. It's still close. I don't think people understand. It's still a toss up in my opinion, but I still favor Kamala Harris on it for how badly Donald Trump has presented himself this entire time. He's done no convincing whatsoever that he would be different somehow, or at least like try to remind people of all the good stuff about how the economy was good when he was president, and instead doing like the worst campaigning possible by sucking the microphone and complaining for 45 minutes about like audio people.
I come in and here's the problem. I said, oh man, it's too low. I said, it's too low. So I had to go.
Or just being a racist piece of is really annoying, and people don't respond positively to. Harris has to be up 10 to 12 points nationally for this result, and she's simply not. I don't believe she's winning senior men in Iowa, or that over 55s are voting 10 points left of under 35s. Polling is just broken. I don't know how to process this at all. Final New York Times polls, Edinger Momentum was waiting on them too, shows a tie in Michigan and PA. So here's the deal. While the liberals are doing victory laps over the Seltzer poll, this is also why I'm saying that it's still a close race. I think that it still favors Kamala Kamala Harris, but it's a close race nonetheless. And the only reason why it's a close race, and I know Lib Dejder is going to get very mad at me for saying this, but it's because Kamala Harris has not done enough messaging and communication beyond harm reduction for the base voters. You can't rely on the base specifically because you're a younger black woman and then assume that they're going to come out and vote for you in droves. That's it. That's it. That's the only reason why it's a close race. Donald Trump is an unimaginably bad candidate. He is not a strong candidate. He's a bad candidate. Okay. JD Vance is also not great either. This is why I said she should have been communicating a different message forward for the black voters, brown voters, young voters in general. Okay. But she didn't do that at all. And these are some of the consequences. If she does not bring the same margins from the Philadelphia base of support, young voters, college educated voters, like voters that are going to college, college students. Like if you don't get turnout from your base, you're kind of cooked. It makes things infinitely closer for no reason. And that's where we're at. And I think that's why these polls are showing this insane tie this close out. Anyway, my point always was, okay, that this race should not be close because of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is, and that much is 100% correct. Donald Trump is a candidate. He doesn't have the juice that he once had. He has no way of like presenting himself as a moderate. Like he's not doing a good enough job with that. And he's trying to pick apart in this incredibly limited base of support that he has. He's trying to pick apart like conspiracy voters. And that is a notoriously unreliable type of voter to try and win over. Okay. They will support you. They'll go out and say they love you, but will they go out and vote? We'll see.
Among all voters, 74% say that the country is on the wrong track going into Election Day. That includes half of Harris supporters, and wait for it, 98% of Trump voters say we are on the wrong track as a country. And 60% of voters say they are still dissatisfied with the candidates. And we finally found an area of bipartisan unity. 61% of Harris supporters and 57% of Trump supporters agree that they are dissatisfied with the candidates.
Damn, dog. I thought people loved Harris's campaigning. I thought that they thought that she was hot. That's crazy. I wonder why people are saying that. I wonder how we got here again, dude. How the did that happen? Now listen, and I've repeated this time and time again. She is not Hillary Clinton, okay? She doesn't have the metric ton of dissatisfaction, distaste, anger, resentment, hatred, and conspiracy theories that Hillary Clinton had, which is why it was insane for the Democratic Party to be like, this is the candidate and you're going to shut the up and you're going to vote for her. Okay. She didn't have that. She doesn't have that, which is why, you know, this is not the end all be all. Okay. Not the worst thing. She, however, is not a very good campaigner. She's just not. Doesn't have a lot of riz. She's black. America's racist. Oh, no, for sure. That definitely plays a role. America's also sexist, too. But guess what? What do I always tell incels? Okay. You don't look at a situation that's like built against you and turn around and say, well, you got to play to your advantages and you got to overcome your disadvantages. You know, that's it. I would never be like, oh, this person is a black woman, so she shouldn't run for president, especially if they have dope policies. You know what I mean? It don't matter. Like what? You think she didn't realize that America was racist and that she was a black woman running in a racist country? No, of course she knows that. What the That's precisely the reason why she didn't do the I'm with her style bullshit in the way that Hillary Clinton did. Okay? I don't think the race is going to be close. I don't understand why they don't factor in the Supreme Court and Congress when they talk about the country being on the wrong track. No. Country being on the wrong track is an understandable predicament, understandable position for people to take. I mean, do you think the country's on the right track? I don't. You know what I mean? I don't think the country's on the right track. I get it. I get why people say that, because it's not on the right track. The wheels have fallen off this bitch.
As their likeliest paths to victory at this point.
Yeah, and you heard Selena lay it out a little bit, but if the polls lined up exactly where things are in the Electoral College, if the polls are right, which is a big if, you'd have Donald Trump winning right now. 287 electoral votes, that's more than 270. But the polls, of course, are often off a little bit. So here's the scenario that Selena was talking about, the blue wall. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, if they all go for Kamala Harris, that is 270 electoral votes exactly. That means the presidency for her. For Donald Trump, a couple of different paths, but the likeliest, let's say he carries Nevada and Arizona. Arizona, where he's been leading in the polling averages, Georgia and North Carolina in the South, historically more Republican. He just needs one more state, and it could be any of the big three. Pennsylvania, the likeliest and the biggest prize. That is the biggest battleground, and it is close to a must-win as we see for both candidates. There's agreement on that this year as well.
And Rick, we were talking about this behind the scenes this morning. That poll out of Iowa that now shows Harris leapfrogging, leading Trump. 3%.
Because Seltzer is like a very reputable pollster, like people were looking at Iowa being deep red normally. People were looking at this poll and being like, oh, it'll be like plus 5.